Be advised, the opinions and views of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
May gabi sa Tibok Mindanao, Visayas, ug sa Luzon. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Ito po ang Republika. Ako po si Erik Espina. Sa gitna po ng mga dumating na mga headline na mga nangyayari sa ating bansa, may mga bagay na dapat bigyan pa rin natin o pagtuunan natin ng pansin dahil bagamat hindi na pag-uusapan sa ating mga pahayagan at sa mga malalaking himpilan ng telebisyon, ito pa rin po ang mga malalaking problema o gahiganting mga problema na hindi natin pwedeng talikuran. Bagamat nandyan lang sila, darating din ang panahon, bigla tayong sasakmalin at mabibigla tayo dahil hindi natin pinag-uusapan, dahil tahimik na parang inilalayo sa ating mata, sa ating pandinig at sa ating panlasa. Kaya sa gabing ito ay babalikan natin itong napakalagang usapan tungkol po sa Government of the Philippines at MILF patungkol po dito sa peace process. Pero sa gabing ito, mga benchmarks na dapat ay sana ay payo na madinig ng ating pamahalaan. Lalo't ang ating kakausapin ngayong gabi, walang iba kung hindi ang Vice President ng Mindanao, ng Philconsa, walang iba kung hindi si SAEED, DAOF. Salam.
Thank you. Waalaikumsalam.
Yan. First question, should the government be talking to the MNLF or should it be talking to the MILF?
Both.
Both.
Both. I believe that, the Philippine government and the Moro National Liberation Front, or the MNLF, we must remember that they have a formal peace agreement which was signed in 1996.
Yes.
And this agreement is supposed to be a roadmap for peace and development of Mindanao.
Yes.
Now, the MILF, or the present members of the MILF, were former members of the MNLF. They did not agree, and they did not recognize the agreement, the peace agreement. As a matter of fact, they did not also recognize the Philippine government. Now, until lately, perhaps, on the contention that, and instead, they pursued a policy or a secessionist stance or an independence. They are demanding independence,
Okay.
Which led to a conflict between the Philippine government and the MILF.
Okay.
And this conflict has been going on for almost 50 years now, at a cost of more than several hundred thousands of lives,
Okay.
Unimaginable loss of properties,
Economic opportunities,
and
social displacement.
retardation of
Yes.
the economic growth
Yeah.
of the conflicted areas.
Okay, but let me ask you, by talking to these two groups now, isn't government biting more than it should? I mean, isn't it complicating the entire issue, giving cognizance to another group, which even in the onset, the OIC doesn't even recognize? Because as far as the OIC is concerned, it is only the MNLF that recognizes the Bangsamoro people, which is also part of the Philippine Republic.
Well, let me say at this point that first of all, the conflict between the government and the MILF is a domestic insurrection.
Correct.
It is a domestic conflict. it is not a conflict between our government and foreign invaders.
Okay.
And therefore, as a government, naturally, their intention, or I would say the ultimate intention, is to assimilate and integrate these people into the mainstream society of the country.
Okay.
That is the thing there.
Okay.
And regarding your other question about they have already.
Shouldn't we just be talking first with the MNLF, and then after settling that, shouldn't that be the end of the story? Or now we should be talking to two people who don't also disagree with each other, and we're complicating the entire issue.
This is what I told in my previous articles.
Yes.
Eric. I told them that one of the most contentious issues in Mindanao is, of course, the Muslim turf war, the tribal differences. That's one of them. But let me go back to your question. You see, there is an existing GPH, or formerly GRP, MNLF agreement.
Yes.
Now, and these people and the MILF, through persuasion, was convinced to talk with the government.
Yes.
And vice versa.
Yes.
Now, as far as the GRP MNLF agreement is concerned, it is there.
Yes.
But there is need still
to follow through,
to complete
yes,
the implementation,
yes,
of what has been agreed upon,
yes,
in 1996.
Would you advise the Philippine government to continue talking with the MNLF, but not to discuss or open a new front with the MILF?
I think it's too late.
It's too late.
It's rather late now.
But on hindsight?
But in hindsight, this is what I believe in.
Yes.
First, the agreement between the government and the MNLF must be complied with.
Okay.
All right?
That's agreed, yes.
And number two, the government should do, this is going to be, the problem in Mindanao is that there is always the syndrome of the birth and growth of splinter groups.
Yes.
And the MILF is started as a splinter group.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Correct.
Now, who made them big? It's the government.
Correct.
And the press.
So what I'm asking now is this.
Yeah.
On hindsight, should they just have focused on talking with the MNLF and fought the MILF?
No.
How should it have been?
I don't think it might be late on the day.
No, but on hindsight,
well,
this is just academic discussion.
On hindsight, as an academic discussion, well, hindsight is 2020.
Of course, yeah.
And of course, it would not be good for us to start going into the blame game syndrome.
Okay.
I still believe that the blame game syndrome and pointing fingers doesn't produce peace. Okay. What we need right now is we are looking at the present situation. They have already started talking.
Okay. So now there are
for as
fronts.
long as
this
is my view.
Yes.
It is all right to talk. However, there are parameters. There are
benchmarks.
There are benchmarks.
Yes.
On what to discuss and what to agree upon.
Yes.
All right. Number one, let me tell you.
Yes.
Now, in this discussion, primarily, what is important here is that in any peace agreement, the MILF should recognize, should affirm, in other words, not only the MILF, but the tenor, the proposed peace agreement between the MILF
should recognize
and the government must declare, affirm, and recognize Philippine sovereignty,
Philippine
territorial integrity, and its constitution. Without that, what are you negotiating for?
Okay, two quick questions.
Yes.
Okay. Number one. Again, on hindsight, it would have been really eventual that these both groups, MNLF and MILF, would just splinter. Why? Because one was focusing on a political solution, the other on a religious solution.
Yes.
Would you agree on that? Okay. Number two. you are saying that the parameters or benchmark should be that the MILF should recognize the Philippine Constitution. With that put front and center of the peace talks, the MILF are going to back up and back down and say no. There should be no assumptions.
Well, if they do that, they're only the ones to be blamed.
We can do that. We can blame them if they back up.
Well, now you see,
up.
I am a Muslim. I'm looking also at the future of those people who have been directly and indirectly affected.
Okay.
What is really the peace process?
Okay.
To me, it is the quantification of the post-war conflict transformation. And what is involved in conflict transformation? Development and reconstruction, trauma healing, development of promotion and development of a culture of peace, governance, and so on. Education, yes, it's all of this. Now, because as I have said, a peace agreement is a piece of paper that could serve as a roadmap or that could serve as a roadmap or a direction to the actual peace on the ground.
Yes.
Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the government, if the government and the MILF will just have an agreement just for the sake of an agreement and for political reason to advance images, then that is nothing to me.
Okay, Mr. DAOF. Okay.
Yes.
Following your position,
Yes.
we talk to the MNLF, we talk to the MILF. I can almost predict, knowing the tribalism that usually accompanies many of the southern Mindanao groups there, a third group is going to splinter because they are unhappy with the current peace process.
I agree.
And then there will be another fourth group.
You have a point.
That will splinter. Should government talk to the third group, to the fourth group, to the fifth group?
Now, that is why, in my opinion...
Hindi na. Hindi na. Dapat hindi na kausapin.
Hindi. In my opinion, this is it. Any agreement between within the government and the MILF, they must address together. They must address the prevention of splinter groups. If not, then there is nothing. Why should they do it?
But here now comes the problem. The MILF cannot even discipline its errant commanders, or these rogue commanders who say no, they're no longer MILF, so we cannot discipline them.
That is one of my apprehension too. Exactly. That is the apprehension of the silent majority. Number one, another apprehension is this. Does the MILF really represent the totality of the Bangsang Moro?
This is now my question. Firstly, the OIC recognizes the MNLF. Why are we talking to the MILF? Therefore, again, this goes back again to the same issue.
But you see, you know,
and people like you are not being represented in the peace talks.
Yeah.
Because I think, personally, I have talked to so many Filipino Muslims, and they say, Eric, why is the government talking to these individuals who does not represent majority of the interest of us Filipino Muslims? Am I correct?
Well, it could be assumed that way.
Yes.
That is why being knowledgeable about the peace process,
yes,
it is up to us to assess and evaluate the depth and latitude of what we are going to put in the agreement and what we are going to commit and agree.
Yes.
Now, take for instance this moral sub-state that they are saying.
New autonomous political entity.
No. It started this way.
Okay.
The chairman of the MILF, Ibrahim Al-Haj Murad,
yes.
submitted a proposal to the government, counter-proposal, I would say, for the creation of a moral sub-state.
Yes.
Now, from its nomenclature,
yes.
it might be viable, quote-unquote, because of the word sub.
Sub.
But it is more than that. Why?
Depends on your emphasis, whether it's sub or the state.
Yeah, because you see, well, please don't put my words into my mouth, Eric.
Okay.
But the way I look at it is,
okay.
You see, the apprehension is this.
Yes.
A sub-state is but an inch or a heartbeat to independence.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying depends on your emphasis.
Am I correct?
Yes, correct. I agree with you.
Now, but at the same time, it is also being as a, shall I say, as a peace advocate, or if I am a negotiator, I look at it this way, that this is a normal, in other words, this is a normal
Strong position.
strategy
For strong position.
of any negotiator,
Yes.
particularly the MILF, under a very, very emotional and a very, very empathic negotiation.
Okay, you are a Muslim. I will ask you.
Yes.
They would like to put up a Sharia-based governance. Would you agree with that? Would you agree with a very highly Islamic form of governance established in these areas? You are a Muslim now. I'm asking you, or would you like a?
I think I would say that the Sharia could be applicable to domestic issues.
Okay.
But with reference to
Governance.
let's say to governance and shall I say international relations, then we have to revert to our conventional law of the land.
Correct.
That is why this is very important. I like your question.
Yes.
And I hope that my Muslim brothers will also look to see that, in other words, we should look beyond
Yes.
the negotiation stage.
Yes.
We should look post-war, the post-war development, rather than today. In other words, why are we negotiating? All right, number one, of course, as I have said, particularly, it is the quantification of the development and reconstruction process. That is one of the important. Now, the next thing is, of course, the other purpose is, of course, so that we may live as a people and as a nation with a commonality and unity of purpose under one nation, which is the Republic of the Philippines.
Correct. Inclusive of all histories,
That is
regardless
right.
of creed,
That is
color,
right.
and correct.
In other words, as I have said, Eric, any Filipino citizen, because I surmise that the MILF are carrying Filipino citizenship.
Yes, I hope so.
If so, then what I'm saying is that anybody who is carrying a Filipino citizenship, regardless of creed, regardless of ideology, regardless of ethnicity and religion, he is a Filipino.
I have a question for you now.
Okay. All right.
With this proposal of the MILF, are they therefore assuming that since they are the proponents, they themselves will be the leaders of this new autonomous or sub-state?
My answer there is this.
Yes. Are they assuming?
Wait. I cannot answer for them.
Yes.
But this is what I can say.
Yes.
I can tell the peace negotiators of the Philippines to ask very frankly if indeed the MILF has already renounced their secessionist stance and demand for independence.
Okay.
And they agree, if they agree to be assimilated and integrated into the mainstream society.
Okay.
I think this is one of the very, very important.
Okay, assuming they have done all this, but does this give them the moral ascendancy or the right to say that because we have renounced this,
there must be a learning curve.
Does this therefore follow that since we are the proponents, we should be the governors of this new area? That is the question.
The question is this. Okay, I like that question.
Okay.
You are giving me, it's a challenge, you know.
Okay.
The thing is this, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as the many peace-loving people that I have talked with, you know, there must be, in other words, now that the government and the MILF has apparently arrived at a situation where they are about to agree to a peace agreement, then it is incumbent upon them to work together as a team and looking at the interest and welfare of non-Muslims and Muslims.
Correct.
And country and people.
Okay.
And also at the same time, looking at, I said, all the avenues regarding a wide range of issues regarding sharing of resources, sharing of governance, sharing of authority, etc., etc. Now, this must be very, very clarified because, you see, if, let us say, if let us say the government agrees on something just for the sake of having an agreement,
Yes.
then we might regret it later on.
Okay. Now, are you comfortable with the ongoing peace talks that everything seems to be very silent, everything is very quiet?
No.
Nobody knows what's going on?
No.
What should be the proper
No.
benchmark for
There
this?
must be a concerted effort in creating general awareness and transparency and what is happening. Why? Because as I have said, any agreement between the panel of the government and the MILF will be submitted first. It must be validated and justified to create an enabling law by Congress that will ratify the agreement.
Wait
Wait a minute.
Yes.
And at the same time, the Supreme Court will study its constitutionality.
Okay.
And so what I'm saying here is that the Philippine government peace panel, or maybe even the MNLF, must religiously consult with our lawmakers.
Should the GPH be very open with the current status, the progress that is being made with the negotiations?
Of course, yes.
Then why is it very quiet?
I do not know. I am also asking that. I'm also asking that.
Is it healthy for them to be quiet?
Because, as a matter of fact, I have written articles. I may be even accused of favoring one side. But no, I have a clear-cut, narrow decision. It is country and people. That is
Well, that is not narrow.
Well,
I don't think that
it
is
is
enough.
narrow in the sense that it is a patriotic duty of every Filipino citizen to look at this matter very carefully. Now, not only because you are biased with anybody. No, we have to look as a Muslim. I'm looking also
General welfare.
the general welfare. Now, take for instance, and without casting any aspersion with anybody, there must be a learning curve in governance.
Yes, of course.
When people have been 30 years or almost
Rebels.
40 years
Rebels.
in the mountains,
Yes.
and then suddenly you saddle him with problems of
Transpose him,
governance,
yes.
then we will have a problem.
And,
So-
you agree there are some rebel leaders who are very poor governors?
Well,
There are some. I'm using the word some.
I just answer it with a smile.
Okay.
But you see, excuse me, I figure that this thing is, it is very important though, that the advantage of having a GRP-MILA peace agreement is that
Yes.
whether we like it or not, this will be attested and accredited by the world community. In other words, there will be, in as much as the OIC also, although
Yes.
it has not recognized the
MILF, yes.
but still, they are very active in trying to help win the peace.
Okay.
Now, excuse me.
With the last 30 seconds, before we pause for a break. Number one, is it possible that the GPH are quiet about this, not telling or informing the public because they don't want to already face any resistance or debate regarding whatever progress is being made? That's one. Number two, how do you settle the issue of certain areas being claimed by the MNLF, recognized by the OIC, and also being claimed by the MILF? And third, how do you settle the issue of another plebiscite over the same areas when Republika returns?